Right, so winter's coming. The water's getting cold again. And you don't really want to be sticking your hands in there quite so much, so time to keep them warm somehow. So today, we're going to talk a little about that. So, sea kayaking, glove options. First, I want to start with a little bit of context here. I primarily use a Greenland paddle, and even when I use a Euro paddle, I'm moving my hand all over the shaft of the paddle to get better leverage and that kind of stuff. So for me, pogies don't work. I'm not going to use pogies. But also, because of the Greenland paddle and with my hand being on the edge of the loom and right on the end of the blade, my hands also often dip right into the water, and that's important for me to be able to keep them warm while I'm doing that. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk a little bit about the various glove options that I've used over the years and what I think of them, and maybe you'll get something out of this too if you're looking for a new solution for yourself. First up is these little fingerless gloves. They're NRS boaters gloves, I think. They've got some little nifty padding things just on the inside of the thumb and the finger and such. Super thin material here. These are summer paddling gloves. Nice enough, and expose your fingers. I don't use them. The main purpose to them is to protect yourself from getting like blisters and such, but if you're getting blisters, you're holding your paddle too tightly, and practicing loosening up your grip will eliminate that problem. So while I can see using them for sun protection, there's not really I don't really have a huge need for these, because at the point that I don't need gloves from warmth, I just don't use gloves at all. Next up, I have these NRS Hydroskin gloves. So they're the 0.5 millimeter thin gloves. You can see they've got some little grippy things on the underside. These ones are probably my most used gloves today. I use them quite a lot because they have still incredible amount of tactile feel and ability to do things. You're not really limited the way you are with thicker gloves when you wear these ones. The grips are honestly not that great. Greenland paddle doesn't seem to matter because of the shape of the paddle anyways, but with the Euro paddle, it absolutely slides around in my grip, and so that's not ideal. Next up are the first pair of gloves I had, and that's these palm hook 3mm gloves. The grip is better on them. I don't struggle with the paddles sliding in them. They're good. I like them. They've done a good job. I do have one slight issue with, if you look right here, you can see there's a little bit of skin exposed. I think that's just from them wearing out a little bit over time. It doesn't do anything to cause my hands get any colder. It's such a small exposed area, but I have had these for 2-3 years now, and you can see there's another spot that's starting to wear here as well. They definitely have a lifespan, but one of the nice parts is they have pre-curved fingers, and what a huge impact that makes for the comfort of holding a paddle over a long period of time. Definitely looking for pre-curved gloves or mitts is something I highly recommend. Finally, I have these NRS toaster mitts, which are generally very highly regarded, particularly the older model that you can't get anymore. This model has one particular issue. Two particular issues, I'd say, actually. The first one is, you see this little thing here? That is a spot where they've stitched between your index finger and your middle finger so that they're forcibly held apart in the glove, or in the mitt, which, given that it's a mitt, serves absolutely no purpose except for your finger to get cold and to have an extra spot where potentially the seam sealing can fail. So there's no reason for it. You can see I don't really have to deal with that, because what I did is I flipped them inside out and I cut away that stitch and I just got rid of it, and they've been a lot better since then. Not pre-curved, and after a while holding a paddle with these can be somewhat tiring on the hands because of the lack of pre-curving, so that's where this is a lot better. So that is the other drawback to these. However, while by themselves they're nice, I pair them up with these Hydroskins because in the really cold water, especially if it's windy out, these do a great job when I'm dipping my hands in the water at keeping me warm and dry and comfortable. And if I need to do something and I need to take these off, my hands are still quite protected with these, as opposed to getting super cold as soon as I expose my hands to the wind. So when I wear these, I pretty much always wear these. It does make them a little bit, it is an extremely warm combination. It can be a little bit too warm sometimes, which is where it's nice to have this middle ground in here. so that I can switch around to something that's a little bit more comfortable depending on what the water temperature and air temperature is like that day. But when it gets really cold, this is a great pairing. I don't think I would get these ones by themselves. Palm does have alternatives that I believe are pre-curved, and I might consider those at some point down the road. But since I have these ones, I'm sticking to them because they're expensive and I have absolutely no desire to spend even more money on mitts. So those are the options I've got. That's how I use them. I would probably not buy these again. Don't recommend these unless you're really struggling with blisters. But again, you can practice your paddle stroke and just loosening up your grip, and you'll more or less eliminate blisters that way. These ones are great. I don't really need them now that I have these other ones. But another thing I do with these two is the club I'm with oftentimes does evening paddles, and the group will stop and have a snack and some coffee and stuff. And when the water's cold and you get out of the water and you take off the gloves, they get really cold. And then you go to put them back on, and that is an awful experience. So what I do is I'll wear these for the first part of the paddle when it's a little bit warmer, and then for the second part of the paddle, after we've stopped and had our break, I'll switch to these ones, which will still be dry, and I won't have the unpleasant experience of putting wet neoprene back on for the rest of the paddle. So that's something else, but I don't really need to have both of these. And if I would buy just one, it would probably be these ones, because I can pair them up with something like this or another solution. However, I certainly have no regrets having these, and whenever I paddle, I carry both of them with me at all times, and so that I can pick and choose depending on what I'm feeling like. These are nice. They're well made. They're well constructed. They have the issues I've talked about before, and because of those issues, I think I would look at a different brand next time, and has something that has the pre-curving and I don't have to cut away stitching on. So, however, they are extremely high quality, and you can tell that just from holding them, and I'm still happy with the purchase, and I'm absolutely hang on to them. They're great for, especially in the shoulder seasons when the water starts to get really cold or just hasn't warmed up yet, because I do paddle very far north in a very cold water environment where most of the year the water is a little too cold to be sticking your bare hand in. So that's that for tonight, all the gloves that I wear. I hope you got something out of this. Let me know what gloves you like to use, or if you do a layering system like I do, or do you use pogies instead because you hate gloves, and share your thoughts.